If you'd asked me 6 months ago what my life was like, I probably would have told you it was solid. Not great, not magical, not the stuff of romance novels. But it worked. We had a routine. A mortgage, a golden retriever, Sunday Costco runs. The kind of life that looks decent on paper and even better in Facebook photos. My wife, Melanie, was the kind of woman people liked. Outgoing, witty, good at remembering birthdays. She could charm the socks off a stranger and argue down a cop. And yeah, she could also cut you down with that same smile. We'd been together since college. She was my first real girlfriend, and somewhere along the way, she just became the plan. There was never a big aha moment where I realized I wanted to marry her. It was more like she was there, and it felt easier to keep walking forward than to ask myself if it was what I truly wanted. I guess that sounds harsh, but it's the truth. Sometimes life just unfolds like a checklist. Date, move in, marriage, house. You check enough boxes and start thinking you're happy just because you're busy. The first few years were good, I'll admit. We laughed a lot, traveled when we could, bought ridiculous kitchen gadgets that only got used once. But somewhere between mortgage payments and car repairs, something shifted. She became colder. Not cold like, I'm mad at you, but cold like you're talking to someone through a window. I figured it was stress. I blamed it on work. I blamed it on myself. But it never went away. She got snappy. Started lying about little things, where she was, who she was with, what she spent money on. I'd catch her in it, and she'd either double down or flip it back on me. Gaslight level. Olympic. But I kept going. Kept showing up, doing the husband things. Mowing the lawn. Cooking dinner. Rubbing her back when she had a bad day. I wasn't perfect, but I was trying. I thought maybe, just maybe, we could fix it if I just worked harder at being enough. Turns out, I wasn't the one she needed more of. The moment it all started to unravel wasn't even dramatic. No slamming doors or lipstick on the collar kind of thing. It was just a Tuesday. I remember because I'd worked late fixing a busted server at the office and stopped to grab Melanie her favorite chai latte on the way home. She always said no whipped cream, but I got it anyway because she secretly liked it. When I walked in, she was on the couch, scrolling her phone, not a glance in my direction. The dog was happier to see me than she was. I set the drink on the table, kissed the top of her head, and headed to shower. And that's when I heard her phone buzz. I don't usually snoop. I mean, I've never been that guy. I believed in privacy. Trusted her. But something about the way she picked it up, quick, almost panicked, made something in me click. She didn't notice me watching. She swiped away a message with this little half-smile on her face, the kind you give someone who makes you feel good about yourself. And that smile wasn't for me. It hadn't been for a while. Later that night, after she went to bed, I sat on the couch in the dark, phone in hand. I don't even know what I was hoping to find. Maybe nothing. Maybe just proof I was paranoid. But I found something. Her sister had messaged her earlier in the day. I only saw the preview, just a glimpse. You need to tell him. He's your husband, not an idiot. This isn't just flirting anymore. That was it. That one line. My stomach dropped like a rock in water. I didn't sleep that night. Just laid there next to her, wide awake, listening to her breathe while every thought in my head started to turn on me. Because yeah, whatever it was, I knew now it was something. For the next few days, I walked around like I was wearing someone else's skin. Everything felt wrong. The way she laughed at her phone. The way she locked it when she used to leave it face up, open. Even the way she hummed in the morning, it all felt like a performance now. Like she was playing wife on stage while the real show was happening somewhere else. I kept hearing that line from her sister's message on a loop in my head. He's your husband, not an idiot. Well, congratulations, I was starting to feel like both. Thing is, part of me didn't want to know. I know that sounds pathetic, but it's true. There's a comfort in pretending everything's fine, even when the floor's already cracking beneath your feet. If I confronted her and I was wrong, I'd be the jealous husband with trust issues. But if I confronted her and I was right, then what? Divorce? Lawyers? Splitting up the house, the dog, our whole life? And that's when I started doing what I swore I'd never do. I started checking her phone when she left it unattended, looking for clues, reading through browser tabs, watching her Google search like a detective in a low-budget crime show. She was too smart to text anything obvious. But social media? That's where things started slipping. She'd been tagging one person a lot more than usual, Josh Reynolds. Childhood friend. Known him since they were kids. Guy I'd had over for beers. The guy who gave me advice on fixing my damn grill last summer. He'd even been in our wedding photos. Apparently, old friends don't stay just friends forever. They'd started liking each other's posts a little too much, commenting back and forth with inside jokes. Then I found a comment that made my blood run cold. This takes me back. Some things never change, winky face. Under a photo of them at a high school reunion. She hadn't told me he was even there. Said it was all girls that night. I don't know why that little winky face hit me so hard, but it did. It wasn't just a comment. It was a memory, one I was never part of. And now I wasn't sure if she ever left it behind. So, here's the part where things go from maybe I'm being paranoid to, oh, I'm officially living in a Lifetime movie. It was a Sunday. Melanie was out, said she was going to visit her mom. Her mom, who lives 15 minutes away. She was gone for 5 hours. While she was out playing the role of dutiful daughter, or so I thought, her sister, Emily, called me. Now, Emily and I were never close. Cordial, sure. But she's always had this awkward way of avoiding eye contact, like she knew a secret and wasn't sure whether to spill it or take it to her grave. That day, the grave lost. She asked if I had a minute, which was already a red flag because Emily never called me. And then she just kind of cracked. She told me she couldn't keep lying. That Melanie wasn't with their mom. That she hadn't been for weeks. She said she only kept quiet because she didn't want to get involved, but it was eating her alive. She knew I didn't deserve it. I stood there frozen in the hallway, one hand on the banister, like if I held it tight enough maybe the whole house wouldn't fall down around me. Then she said it. It's Josh. Just like that. Like she was telling me the weather. Just Josh. Apparently, Melanie and Josh had reconnected last year after some dumb high school reunion. At first, it was just lunch. Then coffee. Then running into each other. Emily said she had no idea how far it had gone, but she knew it wasn't innocent. I thanked her. Calmly. I don't even know how my voice worked. My brain was screaming and my chest felt like someone had put a cinder block on it. I sat down at the kitchen table, stared at my coffee mug like it had answers. It didn't. I don't remember how long I sat there. I just remember the sound of the garage door opening a few hours later. Melanie, home from her visit. I didn't say a word that night. I couldn't. I was too busy watching her move around like nothing was wrong. Like she wasn't slowly setting our life on fire behind my back. After that call from Emily, it was like a switch flipped in my brain. Suddenly, everything made sense in a way I really didn't want it to. All the little inconsistencies I'd ignored. The random receipts in her purse from places I'd never been. The way she'd jump when I entered the room too quickly. The fresh perfume on days she claimed she hadn't left the house. It was all there. Always had been. I just didn't want to see it. I started noticing how often she brought up Josh, casually weaving him into conversations like it was no big deal. Josh this, Josh that. Childhood friend. Like that somehow gave her a free pass. I used to laugh it off, back when I was still dumb and trusting. I mean, what guy doesn't want to be the cool, secure husband who isn't jealous of his wife's guy friends? Gold star for me, right? But now I couldn't unsee it. I remembered her saying once that he was like a brother. Cute. Turns out the brother was texting her after midnight and heart-reacting her selfies. Nothing says family bond like flirty emojis at 1:15 a.m. At that point, I stopped looking for proof. I didn't need GPS trackers or hidden cameras or to catch them in the act. My gut knew. My brain just took a while to catch up. The worst part wasn't the betrayal. It was how familiar it all felt. Like she'd done this before. The same coldness, the same lies, just a different face this time. I started wondering if this was even the first. Or just the first one I caught. And then came the guilt. Not for anything I did, but for being so dumb. For trusting her. For believing the little excuses. For thinking that because we'd been together this long, we were somehow immune to this kind of mess. Spoiler alert, no one is immune. The anger didn't come right away. That would have been easy. It was more like a slow, steady wave of disgust at her, at him, but mostly at myself for handing her the matchbook while she poured gasoline on our life. I started sleeping in the guest room. I told her I was having back pain and needed the firmer mattress. She didn't ask questions. Maybe she already knew I knew. So now I was in the thick of it. Not quite broken, not quite okay. Just in that weird in-between state where everything feels numb but also kind of sharp. Like walking barefoot over broken glass with a straight face because you still have guests in the living room. I didn't confront her. Not yet. There's this weird thing that happens when you know someone's betraying you. You almost become more polite. More careful. Like you're trying not to tip the boat over, even though it's already halfway underwater. I played my role. I made coffee in the mornings. I took the trash out. I asked how her day was. I even smiled when she mentioned Josh's latest Facebook post like it didn't make me want to put my fist through a wall. But behind that smile, I was planning. I started separating our finances. Quietly. Canceled one of the joint cards and told her the bank had flagged it for fraud. She shrugged and said she'd just use her own. Funny how she already had one ready to go. I backed up everything. Photos, documents, emails. I made copies of anything with my name on it. I wasn't sure if I was heading for divorce or just a long overdue explosion, but either way, I wasn't going to be caught unprepared. And I started talking to people. Carefully. A lawyer, first. Then my buddy Chris, divorced twice, swears he's an expert now. He told me the same thing the lawyer did. Document everything. Don't tip your hand. Let her keep digging the hole. I started writing things down. Dates. Times. The way she dressed on nights she said she was just meeting a friend. The time I caught her texting in the garage, thinking I was asleep. I knew I couldn't keep the act up forever. I could feel something building in my chest, pressure, resentment, disbelief. Like I was living with a stranger who still knew my favorite cereal but didn't think I deserved the truth. And I guess that's what really broke me. Not the fact that she was cheating, but the fact that she was still looking me in the eye every day, acting like we were fine. As if I hadn't already figured it out. As if I was just a placeholder in my own life. It didn't go down with fireworks. No yelling. No shattered plates. Just silence. It was a Thursday. One of those dull, gray, nothing special days. She got home a little late, said traffic was bad. Didn't even try to cover the scent of some cologne that wasn't mine. Just walked past me and dropped her purse on the counter like she hadn't just come back from making me the punchline of a private joke. I sat at the kitchen table, looking at the half-warmed leftovers she'd left in the microwave. Chicken and rice. I remember that detail, which is weird, because I didn't eat a single bite. Something about the way she moved around the house, humming some dumb pop song, pouring herself a glass of wine like she was in a commercial for living her best life, it just hit me. Like a slap I didn't feel until 5 seconds later. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was something worse. I was done. Done playing husband to someone who treated me like a footnote. Done hoping she'd come clean. Done pretending I still saw the girl I married under all that smugness and half-truths. She sat down across from me and asked if I could pick up paper towels on the way home tomorrow. That was it. That was her big concern. Paper towels. I nodded. That was the last time I said yes to her. That night, I pulled the suitcase down from the attic. Not to leave yet, but because it felt like a line in the sand. A symbol. Something had shifted. She didn't notice. Or maybe she did and just didn't care. I lay awake in the guest room that night, staring at the ceiling, thinking about how people always say trust is the foundation of a relationship. But that's not quite true. It's respect. And once that's gone, the rest is just furniture in a burning house. Once the suitcase came down, I started treating my life like a break-in. You don't yell at the burglar. You just start hiding the valuables. I made a second bank account in my name only. Moved just enough over to not raise eyebrows, but enough to breathe. Closed an old savings account she forgot existed and redirected the mail to my office. It wasn't petty, it was preparation. She played dirty in the shadows. I was just learning the game. The house? Still technically ours. But I started treating it like neutral ground. Like I was squatting in someone else's home, watching everything through glass. Every time she left, I took stock of what I'd take with me. My tools. My grandfather's watch. That leather chair in the garage she always hated, that was mine. She could have the Keurig. I stopped engaging. Emotionally, I mean. No more morning small talk. No more late-night check-ins. Just nods and shrugs. I was polite. Cold, but polite. Like a customer service rep waiting for you to hang up. She noticed. Of course she did. One night she tried to initiate something. Physical, I mean. Said it had been too long. I just said I was tired and walked out. She stood there in the hallway like I'd slapped her, arms crossed, trying to figure out why her magic wasn't working anymore. Because it wasn't magic. It was manipulation. I was seeing everything clearly now. What really messed me up was realizing how easy it had been for her. Like cheating on me was just a seasonal hobby. Like she could slip into that double life as effortlessly as slipping off her shoes when she got home. And maybe the scariest part? She was better at it than I thought. Smarter. More calculated. But so was I now. I wasn't waiting for a big confrontation anymore. I was building an exit strategy. Slow. Clean. Quiet. I didn't want closure. I wanted freedom. You know that weird moment when your heart and your brain finally agree on something? Yeah, that happened the morning I found the photo. I wasn't even snooping at that point. I was just grabbing my hoodie from the laundry room when I saw her tablet plugged in, screen still lit up. No password. She always figured no one would bother checking it. And to be honest, I wouldn't have if the notification hadn't caught my eye. Your shared album has new memories. From Google Photos. Of course. I tapped it. Couldn't help it. Curiosity, instinct, whatever you want to call it. And there it was. A little folder titled Weekend Reset. Cutesy. Dumb. Like something out of a lifestyle blog. I opened it. First photo was a blurry latte art shot classic. Then a beach. Then a picture of two drinks clinking together at some rooftop bar I'd never been to. And then them. Her and Josh. Leaning in close. His hand on her leg. Her face tilted toward him, laughing like she used to laugh with me. Like she still had a soul. It wasn't graphic. Wasn't even overly romantic. But the body language? The way she looked at him? You don't look at someone like that unless you've already crossed the line. I didn't feel rage. That was long gone. What I felt was confirmation. The quiet kind. The kind that doesn't need shouting or proof or explanations. It just is. She was gone. Had been for a while. She just hadn't moved out yet. I put the tablet back exactly how I found it. Walked upstairs. Made coffee. Sat at the table. I think I even scrolled the news like it was a regular Tuesday. But something had shifted. The weight of doubt? Gone. The last thread of denial? Snapped clean. This wasn't a marriage anymore. It was a shared lease with a liar. That day, I didn't go to work. I called in, said I had a migraine, which wasn't a lie, really. Just not the kind they give you medication for. I spent the whole morning sitting in my car, parked at a nearby strip mall, sipping gas station coffee and thinking. And when I say thinking, I mean everything. Divorce. Who gets what? Whether I should burn her world down or just quietly disappear from it. I ended up calling a lawyer. Not some big shot billboard type, just a quiet guy I found through a friend, divorced twice, knew the ropes, spoke in facts, not fluff. He didn't gasp when I told him the situation. He just asked if I had proof. I told him I didn't need it. I wasn't trying to sue for revenge. I just wanted out. We set a meeting for that Friday. After that, I drove to the credit union, closed the last joint savings account. It only had a few grand in it, but I wasn't about to let her dip into it for self-care weekends or gas for Josh's truck. Then I stopped at my brother's place. Told him I might need a couch soon. He didn't ask questions, just nodded and cracked open a beer like brothers do when things go unsaid. That night, Melanie came home late again. Said she stopped by Target and lost track of time. Classic. Left the bags in the car. Probably because there weren't any. She asked if I was okay. I said I was tired. She smiled, kissed my cheek, and walked off like we hadn't been living in separate dimensions for months. But here's the thing. I wasn't tired. I was done. And for the first time in a long time, I finally felt clear. No more what-ifs. No more guessing. Just a plan. Step 1. See the lawyer. Step 2. Vanish from her life so cleanly she'll think it was her idea. Friday came fast. Too fast. I sat in the lawyer's office across from a guy who looked like he hadn't smiled since the Clinton administration. But I liked that. I didn't need sympathy. I needed a blueprint. He slid a manila folder across the table like it was a menu. Said most of the paperwork was standard. No kids. No business entanglements. Just the house, the cars, and the debris of what used to be a life. He asked if I wanted to file on grounds. I said no. No point dragging it into the mud. I didn't need to list infidelity in bold letters to feel justified. The court didn't care, and neither did I anymore. He told me I had two options: wait for her to file, which would give her the upper hand, or file first and set the tone. So I signed. Quietly. Almost calmly. I signed away the idea that this marriage was worth salvaging, that it had ever really been whole in the first place. He nodded, gave me the next steps, said he could have the papers served within a few days. Asked if I wanted her served at home or at work. I paused, and then I smiled, just barely, and said home. She lied in that house. She hid in that house. Let her face the truth there too. That night, I went home, made dinner like nothing had changed. Chicken Alfredo. Her favorite. She said it tasted just like old times. She didn't notice the extra key missing from the drawer, or the manila folder in my backpack, or the cold in my voice when I said goodnight. But I noticed everything. The clock was ticking now. She just didn't hear it yet. Those next couple of days felt like the quiet before a thunderstorm. Everything looked normal on the surface, sunny skies, morning coffee, texts about groceries. But underneath, the clouds were thickening fast. I was playing the part. I still did the dishes, still folded laundry, still asked her if she wanted anything from the store. Meanwhile, the divorce papers were moving behind the scenes, with a process server ready to knock on our front door. The irony? I was probably being a better husband in those days than I had in months. Funny how clarity sharpens your behavior. When you know you're walking away, it's easier to be patient, civil, even generous. She didn't suspect a thing. In fact, she started acting nicer, like she was softening toward me. Maybe the guilt was catching up. Maybe Josh had pulled back. Or maybe she just felt me slipping away and didn't know why. She laughed at my dumb jokes again. Wore that old hoodie of mine she used to steal. One night, she even brought up going on a trip, just us, like a Band-Aid vacation was going to fix the bullet wound. I nodded, told her that sounded nice. What was I supposed to say? Actually, I'm having you served with divorce papers on Tuesday, so maybe save the travel plans. She kept talking about the future, about how things felt better between us lately. And all I could think was, how many lies can you fit into a smile? The hardest part wasn't pretending. The hardest part was realizing how easy it was for her to pretend, too. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I remember because she was working from home and I was running errands, which really meant sitting in my truck 2 blocks away, waiting for the call from the process server. I had my phone on silent, but I checked it every 30 seconds like a nervous teenager waiting for a text back. Then it happened. A simple text. Served. No issues. I don't know what I expected. Screaming? Crying? A dramatic chase down the street? Maybe a slap that echoes through the neighborhood like you see in movies. But none of that happened. Just a knock, a manila envelope, and the quiet crumbling of a life she didn't know had already ended. I waited an hour before driving home. Walked in like it was any other Tuesday. The house was dead silent. She was sitting at the dining table. The envelope was there, unopened, like it was radioactive. Her face. I'll never forget that face. Not shocked. Not angry. Just blank. Like someone pulled the plug and she was still buffering. She asked if I was serious. I said yes. That was it. She said I blindsided her. Said we could have worked through it. Said I should have talked to her. And that's when something in me cracked, but not loudly. Just quiet honesty. I told her I had talked. For years. I talked when I felt distance. I talked when she got mean. I talked when she lied and pretended nothing was wrong. She just never listened. And now? Now the talking was over. Once the papers were on the table, everything changed. The pretending stopped. The mask dropped. And Melanie, well, she didn't go down quietly. The first day, she tried guilt. Said I was throwing away everything over a few mistakes. Tried to spin it like I was the one being unreasonable. Like I hadn't waited, watched, swallowed betrayal until it soured everything in me. The second day, she got angry. Real angry. Claimed I'd ruined her life. Said I must have been cheating too, because why else would a man suddenly stop playing the fool? That one made me laugh. Not outwardly, but inside. That deep, bitter laugh that comes when someone lies so hard they trip over their own story. Then she got strategic. She wanted to split things fairly, which is code for, how can I leave with the car, the couch, and whatever dignity I have left? I told her she could take the guest bedroom set, the second car, and whatever she needed to get started somewhere else. I even offered to help with the moving truck, because sometimes doing the right thing doesn't feel good, but it still matters. She didn't argue much after that. The house felt different instantly. Lighter somehow. Like the air had been thick with secrets and finally cleared. I moved into the master bedroom again. Not because I missed it, but because I wasn't giving it up. Not to her. Not to the version of me that sat there night after night, hoping she'd come back emotionally. This was mine now. The silence, the space, the clean slate. She packed fast. Left faster. No long goodbye. Just the sound of the front door closing like a punctuation mark on a sentence I never wanted to write. And still, I didn't feel victory. I felt vacancy. So here I am. No wife. Half the furniture gone. Empty dresser drawers that still smell like her perfume, and a silence in the house that doesn't echo with pain anymore, just with space. It's strange. People think when you catch a cheater, there's this moment of triumph. Like you stand on the ashes of your old life with a flag in your hand and your chest out, victorious. But that's not how it feels. It feels quiet. Tired. Like finishing a marathon you didn't sign up for. I still have moments where I second-guess everything. Not the decision, I stand by that. But myself. How did I not see it sooner? How did I let it go on that long? How did I fall asleep beside someone who was emotionally miles away? But that's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't announce itself. It whispers. It creeps. And sometimes, it wears the face of the person you love most. The dog's still here. He follows me from room to room like he's trying to figure out where she went. I tell him we're okay, even when I'm not totally sure we are. But we're getting there. I've got a weekend fishing trip planned with some old friends. Haven't done that in years. Might pick up a side project. Fix up the garage. Replace that ugly art she insisted on keeping above the fireplace. And maybe, just maybe, I'll leave room for something new. Not a person. Not yet. Just possibility. Something that doesn't lie. Something that feels like mine. There's no neat ending here. No bow on the story. I'm still living it. Still figuring it out. But I'll say this. I'm not bitter. Just wiser. And that's something.